We are getting closer and closer to the January window, so I guess it makes sense that we have a ton of reports giving us some ideas behind what our plans are set to be in the January window. So my friends, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that like button. Let's get over 2,000 likes without wasting any more time. Let's start things off by discussing the latest news surrounding Trevoh Chalobah. Now, as we all know, it is heavily expected that Chalobah is set to leave us in this next window, and both Bayern Munich and surprise package Borussia Dortmund are showing strong interest in signing him in January. Now, during the last deadline day window during the summer, Chalobah was priced out of a move to sign for Bayern on a permanent fee because at the time he wanted around 50 million. And when Bayern came back with a loan offer plus option to buy, we rejected that outright. So, can Bayern Munich cough up the money to sign him? I'd like to think so, because it is reported that the fee we want for Chalobah is around 29 million euros. If you're Bayern Munich, you might think to yourselves, well, Chalobah's been out injured for most of the season. The club don't need him anymore. Hopefully we can sign him for less than 29 million. And I wouldn't be surprised if like 25 million was the final package to sell Chalobah. But with Borussia Dortmund now showing interest too, hopefully we can create a bit of a bidding war now to sell Chalobah to the highest bidder. Now both Bayern and Borussia Dortmund really appreciate the versatility that Chalobah brings to their teams, because Chalobah can play as a DM. He can play all across the defensive lines as well too. Strong, he's fast, very comfortable playing out, and both clubs need someone like this in their squad to help with rotation and filling in positions where it's needed too. Now for me, listen, I understand why Chalobah wants to leave. I think when it's been made abundantly clear that the club don't see him in their future, you have to think about yourself. But at the same time, I really feel like you get lots of value from players like Chalobah in your squads. I mean, this guy is a homegrown talent that has a real connection to our club, and you get these mentality benefits from players like him because they know that they aren't first choice, but that doesn't mean that they don't fight their hardest to win the approval of their manager. That doesn't mean that when they're on that field, when they get the opportunities, that you don't fully rely upon them and trust these guys because they never let you down. And the fact that we basically have our own versatile weapon that could really help us throughout a season, that we're just going to discard for a fraction of the price, knowing the fact that if you're selling Chalobah, you're then going to sign his replacement for like double, maybe even triple the money. It does put things into perspective, in my opinion. That is the first story out the way. Do you think it's a mistake to sell Trev, or do you think we should accept this and move on? Let us know below. So I guess this segues in very nicely to the next report, where we are learning our plans for the January window, and it does seem like a replacement centre-back is on the agenda. Now, reports came from Fabrizio Romano. Here's what he had to say, and as he says, we will look at opportunities in the January transfer window, then it depends if the right player is found at the right price. One player to watch is Tapsoba. He's having a fantastic campaign with Bayern Leverkusen. He did extend his contract in September, but there is a possibility for him to leave in 2024 if a big proposal is offered. Now, you might think to yourselves, Leny, we currently have Colwell, Silva, we have Disasi, Badiashile, Fofana, and we have tons of fullbacks that can also play in centre-back positions too. Like, do we have to spend more resources on signing another centre-back? Are we becoming centre-back FC? Is this giving overkill vibes? I think if any of you guys feel this type of sentiment, I kind of agree with you, but let me continue on the reports first, and let's discuss the targets we are looking at. And these targets are kind of sexy names. They have big potential, they are wonder kids, and these players are Ousmane Diomande from Sporting Lisbon. We're looking at Leny Yoro from Lille, the 17-year-old French centre-back where, last season he had his breakthrough season, and I think right now he is having his breakout season. He's a first-choice star with Lille, and this guy is playing beyond his years. On top of that too, of course, Tapsoba from Leverkusen. Mark Guehi is still on the target list as well too, and players like Rafa Silva of Benfica are being looked at too. Now these are some great players with great potential. I'm looking at Ousmane Diomande. I think his overall game, out of all the targets we're looking at, this guy could be one of the clearest centre-backs in European football based on the cheat code of options he has in this game. I mean, to be honest with you, all these guys possess what we're looking for. You know, they're tall, over 6'2", 6'3", you know, aerially dominant. They win their 1v1 duels. They can defend in their boxes and they can defend out wide. They are exceptional ball progressors who kickstart moves for us. And I think for big clubs in particular, this is one of the most key components you need in your squad to build anything right now. And these guys have the pace and the tactical acumen, of course, to play beyond their years. So I understand the talents we're looking at right now, my friends. But my thing is, are there too many ingredients in the kitchen right now? Right now, it seems like we're building a defense with caviar, with gold leaf, with truffles, with champagne. All very luxurious ingredients, but like, so then mix them all together. Does that make that a beautiful meal? You know, I'm not too sure. And the reason why I say this is that all these guys are of a very similar profile, a very similar age, and they're being signed to be more competition alongside great young talents we already have, where two of these guys in Badiashile and Fofana haven't even made their proper first team appearances yet. Is this giving overkill? Also knowing the fact that we possess another talented player in Bashir Humphreys who is 2-footed. Like, that's one of the rarest things you see in centre-backs right now. This guy's doing bits at Swansea and he really impressed Mauricio Pochettino, and he probably would have stayed if not for being forced out on loan, because guys like Chalobah and co remained with us during the summer. So does it make sense to splash big money on super talents like this when maybe other areas like signing a world-class left back or spending big on signing a superstar player up front or in attacking mid positions? Would that not be better for us? Would that not have more utility for us as a team? Because realistically, my guys, we're not going to climb up this table picking up clean sheets to win this league. It's not going to work like that. Like, for all the ball progression we already have in terms of the excellent defenders we possess, is that translating into 3 points? Is that translating into helping us play through teams even more and giving us more cutting edge? It's not. And I guess for me personally, this whole strategy of like signing everyone really young, knowing the fact that at least if one or two of these guys are successful, that kind of justifies the entire business approach. I don't like that, because football is not linear. Just because you have 5-star potential does not mean you're set to achieve that if you're not playing the right amount of game time at the right time in your career too. And that is ultimately what things come down to. I think Man City can afford to rotate their defense indiscriminately based on the fact that many of these guys have been here for a very long time and really understand the football they're playing, and they know how they're playing in that system too. Whereas us, on the other hand, are now starting to build these things from scratch. So I do feel like right now, does it make sense? I'm not too sure, but I guess I'm going to give you guys your time now to give your thoughts and opinions. Do we need another centre back? Let us know below, my friends. So right now, let's end things on another big story. We discuss one of the hottest strikers in European football in Santiago Gimenez. So far this season, 4 losses, 4 draws and 3 wins. I think we all know that it's going to be stupidly hard to get Champions League football. We can't afford to get more than, I'd say, 7-8 losses max throughout this whole season, and we're halfway there already. So would it surprise me that the club feel the pressure of securing Champions League football by spending big on signing players to address issues in our team? And I guess in steps Santiago Gimenez, a player the club has been looking at, and I guess rightfully so, because over the past 12 months, this guy has led Feyenoord to league glory. And at the same time, he has shown himself to be one of the hottest strikers in European football based on his incredible scoring rate, where already this season he has 13 goals in 10 appearances in the Dutch league. So reports today suggest that Feyenoord would want 45 million euros if they sold probably their best player. And I guess the bonus behind this news is that it has been reported that he has no agent. His father, who happened to be an ex-football player himself playing to the highest level, represents his son. So I guess that gives us the benefit of signing Gimenez for the right price, not paying any agent fees and maybe giving him the wage packet that we want. So that's the news out of the way. But to end with things, I want to give you guys some context behind why I feel like these reports exist to begin with. Why exactly are we looking at Gimenez? And is he good enough for us to begin with? To start with things, I always feel like the striker must suit tactically what your team is doing right now. And there are some similarities between how Feyenoord play and what we're trying to do right now. Feyenoord play like, attacking possession football. There are similarities in the build-up. There is that box-shaped structure. They do like to use a 3+2 structure, with the 2 guys being the pivot players in midfield and the 3 being like the centre-backs and a full-back that split wide. And in terms of the movement that Slot wants from Gimenez, there are some similarities between what Pochettino is currently trying to do with both Jackson and Breuer. I'll explain why later on, but for the final thing, I think Gimenez is proof of something that is tried and tested, and for me, one of the real key ingredients of success in this game, and that is a player that has a proper development pathway that allows him to shine and grow. Because I feel like Arne Slot is the main reason why Gimenez is showing this level of football right now, and I actually think that Gimenez has become a better player. And to give you guys the answer right now, he's become a better player because he is no longer just this poacher pressing style forward that relies upon service. Right now, Arne Slot is developing someone to be more involved in the game. His average touches are from 20 to 30 per game, and before that it was around 10 to 15. So this is a player that has a key, integral, tactical part in his team right now, and this is a player that is growing and developing his all-round game to a point where I would say that he would be a very effective deep line forward. Now, to understand how he's got here, you have to understand where it began. And when they signed him from Cruzal in the Mexican League, he wasn't the finished article. He wasn't lighting the league on fire, scoring bare goals in Mexico. Not at all. Feyenoord saw something in his game though. But when he first came to Feyenoord, he needed time to settle into a new country and the new demands in the league as well too. And at the time, he was the backup striker because he wasn't up to task. But the manager challenged him. He told him to improve on his physiology. And I'll give you guys a few details. It was things like upping his work rate to a degree where it's listen, if you're going to play in my team, your pressing off the ball has to be intense. You must be unrelenting. You're not going to get in this team until I see you working and improving on this particular point. On top of that too, they worked on details behind how he used his frame when it came to holding the ball off. He worked on things like his touches inside the box. His fitness had to improve a lot more too, plus a lot more details. But Gimenez responded in perfect style, and once the World Cup was over, that's when he really exploded. Everything he learnt, everything he took on board was starting to show results. And after the World Cup, he got 13 goals in 15 appearances and he ended that season with 23 goals and 3 assists in 45 games. And this season, he's built up from that, scoring even more goals at a higher rate, recently scoring an excellent hat-trick against Ajax. There's a lot more things I can say about his game, but I think I'll keep that for another video for the sake of length for this video. But what I am going to say is that I'm not necessarily opposed to this news. I'm not one of those guys that thinks, oh, if you come from a weaker league, automatically you're not good. No, for me, you sign a striker that complements what you're trying to do right now, and it does not matter what league they come from, as long as they complement how we are playing as a team. And I think Gimenez does do that now. But at the same time, if you're looking to sign a striker, naturally that means there'll be less game time for Jackson and Armando Broja. And for me, you need to get that detail perfect. If you're going to spend big money, you have to get a guarantee up front if you're doing that for right now. Otherwise, develop and grow what you have. Because to expect perfection straight away when tactically the team aren't even perfect right now is a bit ridiculous in my personal opinion. And with many of the players that we look towards, they once had a manager that believed in their game and got the very best out of them. And I do believe that we have strikers right now where they could definitely benefit from this Arne Slot type of treatment and love to be able to really maximize their game and to really grow as players too, because if you're going to sign these guys young, the whole point of signing them young is to develop them to be ready for the future. And if we aren't planning on doing that, then we have to start seriously considering our transfer strategy and finding more balance behind the type of players we sign for the squad, right? So there are my thoughts and opinions, my friends. I think this guy is a very talented striker, and it's no surprise to me now why bigger clubs are looking at him, now that he has developed to show that he is more than just a poacher and can do a lot more now in Europe, and of course in the Dutch league. So my friends, share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about Santiago Gimenez? Let us all know. And on that note, I'm Leny FC. This is BlueLionsTV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.